All right. Well, hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Chelsea Timmons with Luxury League, and I am so excited to be hosting today's webinar, The Leap to Luxury. Whether you are just beginning your real estate journey or looking to break into the higher end market, you're in the right place. For those of you who may be new to the Luxury League network, welcome. Luxury League is a curated collective of top producing agents who specialize in Central Texas' most elite properties. Our mission at Luxury League is to support, to connect, and elevate agents who work in the luxury space, and then also help others who aspire to get there. So today I am honored to be joined by four incredible Luxury League members for 2025 who are not just leaders in our industry, but they're also incredibly generous with their time and with their knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and ask our panelists to join me on camera. Please help me welcome Monica Fabio with Christie's International Real Estate, Nicole Kessler with Compass, Wendy Parks with Moreland Properties, and Alex Tapp, also with Compass. Now, these are names that I'm sure you've seen on some of the most iconic listings in Central Texas, and today we get to hear the real story behind all of their success. So I'm so grateful to have the four of you on today. Say hello to everyone. Thanks for being here.
Hey, everybody.
Hey there.
All right. So here's what we're going to cover today. We are going to talk about what it really takes to break into the luxury space. We're going to talk about how luxury transactions can differ from standard deals. We'll talk about proven strategies to attract and retain high net worth clients, and then why luxury is not just glamorous, but also a very sustainable, fulfilling, and smart business practice for you to get into. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right. So I want to start at the very beginning. Tell me about your first sale or how you got your start in real estate. And I want you to think in terms of like your first day, your first week, your very first deal you ever did. And I want to go ahead and kick this over to Nicole to get us started. So, Nicole, let's hear about it. How'd you get your start in real estate?
Well, it wasn't extremely glamorous. I was going to the University of Texas and I was paying my way through college, waiting tables at Trudy's on 32nd Street. And I had a friend who started a condo leasing company. And he said, you should get your real estate license and come lease condos. And so my junior year of college, I attempted to get my license, and embarrassingly, I have to say, I failed the test twice before I passed it the third time because I thought I didn't need to study and actually learn any of the laws and everything about real estate. So third time's a charm. I passed, and I started by leasing condos on campus.
That's amazing. Wow. So not everyone just like rolls out of bed and passes that real estate test the first time. Look at you
No.
now. All right. Well, let's hear some others. Alex, Wendy, or Monica, tell us about that very, very beginning start to real estate for you.
Yeah, I was coaching at the time. I was coaching soccer, football at the time, and I would just have my coaching gear in my car all day, try and chase leads and leases and anything else I could find. And then at 5 o'clock, I'd run to the coffee shop, get changed into my soccer gear, go coach on the fields for a few hours, come back and do it all again. Did that for a year before I finally took the leap to go full time real estate. You know, that panic of worrying is this the right move and can I afford to keep myself going here? But yeah, just scrambling everywhere, doing everything and anything. First deal was like up in Round Rock for like a $90,000 condo, I think in like 2012, maybe 2013. And just yeah, by hook or by crook, we are going to make that one work. It was amazing. When I think back at it now.
Yeah, Wendy, tell us a little bit about you.
So my story was I my a lot of people already know my story about how my grandmother gave me my inheritance before she died. She wanted to see what we would do with the money she left us. And so I had taken my $500, um, my huge inheritance. And at the time, real estate school was exactly $500. And so I had already graduated from UT, was trying to get my foot back into Austin because it was my glory days, the best years of my life in the 90s in Austin, Texas. And so I got my real estate license and thought I'm going to try to find a house here, thinking I would be a real estate investor or something because I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was still in an industry I was still modeling that, from my glory days. And when I was searching around Austin, got my license, was searching around, trying to figure out, and I had put offers in on three different properties, and it was the third property that I got. Because back in 2003, the market was still pretty, I mean, things were moving very fast. It was multiple offers as well back then, but you had a few days to actually think about things. But I remember putting an offer on literally the house that I'm sitting in, and I didn't even finish walking through it. I walked partly through it. I saw the big giant doggy door and was like, oh, that's the house for me. And I ran back out the front door and called the agent on the other side and was like, what do I do? I love this house. I'd never done a real estate deal before. And so he kind of guided me along the way. So I learned everything what not to do. And my first real estate deal was my very own personal residence that I still have 21 years later. I refused to sell it because I love it so much. There's so much stories um, anyway, so that was my intro into real estate, and I learned in that few moments that it wasn't necessarily the full financial part of the deal. I realized it was the communications between me and that other agent that really got the deal done. I still don't even know how we figured it out and got it organized with them because they really just did not want to accept the lower offer. But somehow, some way, the communications worked and got it done. So that's when I realized, oh, I can talk. Real estate could be a job for me. And that's literally put me into a full-blown career in real estate.
Look at that. Oh, I love hearing about that. Monica, tell us about when you first got your start in real estate. What year was it?
So I started in 2002. I came into the real estate world from the high tech world. So I had been traveling all around and decided to play around with real estate. And I was at Keller Williams the first couple of years. They have a great training program. I just soaked it all in, immediately got a business coach and so on. But my very, very first transaction, I probably had my baby in a car seat in the office, and I got an offer on my first, actually multiple offers on my first listing, and I did not know what I was doing. I was so green. I had a realtor screaming at me that I was holding the offers or, not doing it right. And I explained, this is my first deal. I'm almost in tears. And he apologized and it ended up closing. And so what I did learn from that is you have to stay calm under pressure in this business, and learn to lean on other people, no matter how experienced you are. There's something new every day. But yeah, it closed. So I was hooked.
There you go. I have a quick question. I don't know if y'all can remember your very first sale, your very first transaction, what the price was. I cut my teeth in the real estate industry selling new homes, and the first home I ever sold was 117,990. 117,990. It was a two bedroom, a little over 1,100 square feet. But yeah, I'll never forget that sale. Of course, I messed up the contract 4 times and had to redo it. I finally just felt so bad that I ordered pizza for me and the buyer and just said, just sit here for a minute. It's going to take a while because I had no idea what I was doing. But do y'all remember the price of your first home you ever sold?
I
Yeah, I
think
do. It was this little condo up in Round Rock for like it was a listing actually. And so this lady, she was a single mum and she was trying to sell this home and move out of Texas and she couldn't afford the mortgage. And yeah, I think it was 90 grand. And I ended up literally writing her a check to make sure she could pay her mortgage just to make sure we could get this done before it, started to go into foreclosure proceedings and all that kind of stuff. It was wild, but I treated that like it was 9 million, like whatever it took, right?
Well, for
I think
me,
mine was 90,000 also. Yeah, it
Was
was in
it?
the same price range. Yeah.
well, this house, y'all, I mean, listen, I was 26 years old when I bought this house and I had no idea that if I could even afford it, but it was 234, 740. I'll never forget it. And it's priceless now. Like nobody could offer me anything for it. I would still not sell it.
Love that.
Love it.
mine was
Monica, do you remember your
luxury.
first one?
Who, me?
Yeah, do you remember that
Mine
about the
was,
price of your first
I
one?
thought it was very luxurious. And back then it was like, I think it was about 400,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good one to start. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it went
Well,
way over asking because my
Oh,
strategy
that's
was
right.
to underprice it. That's why I got multiple offers.
there you go. There you go. Well, It's a great segue to talk about what we think makes the luxury market unique. And I'd love to see, I want to hear about the differences between a luxury versus a non-luxury transaction. Obviously, you all didn't start off selling $1 million homes. Whenever you first got into real estate, it's evolved over time. For the sake of this conversation, let's define luxury. And I know it's ever changing, especially with the market ebbs and flows. But for the sake of today's conversation, we'll define luxury as like 2.5 million and up. Tell us a little bit about how a luxury buyer versus a non-luxury buyer, or a luxury transaction versus a non-luxury transaction. How does that differ for you as an agent? And I'd love to kick this one over to Monica. Monica, talk to us a little bit about how those are different.
So we all want to treat everybody like they're a luxury client, but I think the biggest differentiator is the just general level of expectation. I mean, it's not really just about finishes and, higher and finish out. They also they expect a higher level of discretion a lot of times with the higher end client. I mean, a lot of times NDAs are involved and so forth, but they want white glove service, and they want an agent who really expects their needs before they even know. I do think the negotiation style is also a little nuanced. Just the whole negotiation, the process. um, they it's not as emotional sometimes. So sometimes I find it even in a weird way, maybe a little easier, maybe not, but I think it becomes more about like a strategy and a business proposition, almost more like a commercial transaction. So because it's sometimes it's an asset, sometimes it's a home, very often, but it gets a little different in the way that you negotiate it. And I think for buyers, it's not just about, finding a home, a roof over their head. I think it's more about really, really selling them their lifestyle, or it might even have to do with them wanting to be in a certain social, stratosphere. But I think the bottom line is, with luxury or not, it's the same fundamentals, that people just want to be heard, they want to be respected, they want to be well taken care of. So it doesn't matter really if it's 500,000 or which was luxury in its day, or 5 million plus.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What other thoughts do y'all have? How are they different?
We work really hard to curate every transaction to make it uh, we act as their concierge, kind of like Monica was saying. But if they need a painter, we have a painter, we find a painter. If they need to know where to find a certain doctor in town, I mean, that is something that we spend a lot of time. We are not just their realtor, but we are also their friend, and we're their community connection. So we work really hard to curate every transaction, to really tailor it to their specific needs. And every person is so different that you really need to be able to read the room, and also understand who you're dealing with, whether you're dealing with the wife and her needs and the children, or the husband. We really, they expect a different detailed level of service.
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy, I'm curious your thoughts on this. How do you feel like a luxury transaction versus a non-luxury transaction can be different?
Yeah, I think Monica nailed it when she said that the fundamentals are the same. These are still really huge financial decisions for most. And so, but I do think that in the luxury market, sometimes it's a little bit more complex. Sometimes there is a few more people involved, a little, more layers that you have to go through. Um, and sometimes even a little bit more discretion. But at the end of the day, it's still the simple things are, people just want to be heard, they want to be taken care of, and they really want to be cared for, as if, this is a really huge financial decision, for the most part. But it can be a little bit more complex in the luxury market for sure.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Alex, any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, these ladies here are way more established than I am in the luxury market. But yeah, in my experience with it, to Nicole's point, you are kind of their concierge for life after that. It doesn't just end after the transaction, right? They're reaching out all the time for that, and it's making sure that you have quality list that you can provide to them, whatever it may be. And yeah, no, I totally agree with all these points here.
And you can't be embarrassed to say, I don't know. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, for sure.
we a lot of times we don't know, but we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, all right, my next question is kind of a golden question here. I know that there are a lot of agents who struggle with or would love some feedback or some insight on this. What are some ways that you find and attract high net worth clients? How do you find and attract high net worth clients? And I'd love to pop over to Wendy first on this one. What are some actionable insights that you can think of in this area?
So I think one of the things that I've learned just in general in the business is it's to show up and to be consistent. And so all of us know that real estate is just not a part-time job. It is a full-time lifestyle. And so just showing up, being consistent, answering your phone, and caring for people's just everything that they need and hearing them and then being able to provide feedback and just get back to them and being responsive, I think is the key for attracting any real estate. And so, but there's something about when you consistently do it over time, you start to develop a reputation that then develops into really good referrals. And at the end of the day, that's what you want is a consistent business. And through that consistency, you will generate those higher end clients because it's just a word of mouth game and it's a reputation that you build by being consistent.
Yes. Oh, I love that answer. One of the things my dad used to tell me when I was younger, and single was don't date anyone without a reputation, right? You need to either
A good
know who
reputation.
they are. Yes, a good reputation.
Mhm.
You've got to know who they are, or at least be able to check some references before
Yes.
you're going to go spend some time with someone and give them your valuable time as well. And so that's very, very true of the real estate agent that you're going to do business with is that you want them to have a good reputation. And a lot of times that's because you're just showing up repeatedly. A great question actually came into the panelists here, and it's very much in line with this question, which is how do you find and attract high net worth clients? It's also how did you find your first luxury client? So I want to kick this over to Monica or Nicole. Tell us some of the ways that you really position yourself to get in front of clients who might be headed towards a luxury purchase.
So, well, it's all about long-term relationship building, whichever way you cut it. So many of mine come through referrals, of course. That's the biggest source of business. It's previous clients, wealth managers, attorneys, family offices, our other agents. However, you cannot overlook those contractors who are working for people with the multi-million dollar homes. I mean, I've gotten some of my biggest referrals from the places you would never have expected. And it's really just about treating everybody as you would want to be treated. And also I think it's about curating experiences and or your entire environment to align with what your brand is. So whether it be when you're going to have an open house, it could be with a cause, or it could be with curated things like wine tastings. It could be, well, I chose philanthropy. When I first got into real estate, I called a charity and ended up for 5 years chairing one of their biggest events. And it was a lot of work, but the connections and then the impact on the the world around me was it just really aligned with my brand. So whatever your brand is, or maybe you're into tennis or you're into golf or have a high tech background and you can use those relationships and then just continue focus on being that person that they trust versus their agent, and then it'll all fall into place.
Yeah, and the question was like that I see it in the chat, how did you get your first luxury client? Mine was a friend of mine's parents. So I had sold my friend a house. I did a great job. I really did the follow through, and then they referred their parents to me. And their parents, back then were looking at $1.2 million house, and that was a lot of money back then. I mean, I remember when Lake Austin waterfront was $600,000.
Wow.
And I thought that was really wild. So, It kind of just morphs. And for me, it was that lead. But I go back to what Monica said about charity. I think you have to find one group to focus on. And let's say you belong to a gym and that's your thing and you love to work out. I mean, maybe you start focusing on that sphere of influence. If your children are in preschool at wherever, Good Shepherd, where my kids went, I feel like I created a really big community of moms and parents, and I really focused on that. I think there's a really fine line between being pushy and making yourself available, and that is the difference. I mean, you can't stalk these people, you can't beg. You really just need to be there and the experience, and you do good with one client and you do very well, they're going to refer you their friends. People will see the sale. I don't know whether it's on social media, etc. But it's this is the long game. And I didn't say, but I started in 1992. And so I'm in close to 35 years in real estate. And it doesn't happen in 1 year. It doesn't happen in 2 years. I mean, this is you sell somebody their first home, and 4 years later, 5 years later, they're moving up. And it's a long, long play. But I mean, not everybody jumps in with their luxury to start with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alex, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, exactly right. The long game of it, right? And just treating each of those clients, whether it's 100 grand or 10 million, the same way, and making sure you do a good job, because usually it does come from referrals. And so being consistent, to Wendy's point, is just it just does take time. It just doesn't fall into your lap like that. And just being committed with that kind of focus, to Nicole's point as well, like choosing what your kind of brand is and just staying true to that and just showing up every day, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's going to be benefit to really defining who your avatar buyer is. Hey, this is the client that I would like to represent. This is what my brand is, and this is my ideal client. And then figure out where they hang out. And that's where you should start hanging out, right? You're never going to get a country club client if you're hanging out not at the country club, right? So you've really got to go where they go, and then just really meld your life into the life that they're in as well. So love all of that advice and feedback. I do have another quick question, and whoever wants to answer can. Who is a mentor or maybe another agent or someone professionally who really made a difference in your life as a young realtor, as you were first getting started, let's say in your first 5 years or so? Who is someone or a group or what professional resources really helped you to get your footing?
I can take it.
Okay.
So I will never forget. So when I had moved over to more, I got my real estate license in 2003. It's when I bought this house, first real estate deal. And then a few years later, I had some listings down off of South Lamar, representing some builders and some condo developers. And the market started to shift in 2007, 2008. And so I took all those listings to Moreland Properties to just help with marketing and push them. But, had no idea that we were actually kind of going into a little bit of a recession back then. But I moved into Eric Moreland's office, and I remember going every day to work going, this guy is a machine. I've never seen anything like it, but I would watch how he dealt with his clients and how he just held his way every single day, and the way he spoke to people and the way he presented things. And I remember thinking I would love to model my business after him. But I also learned don't compare myself to him, because there was no way to even compare to somebody like him with the way he's built his business. But I do remember taking little bits of the way he presented himself in his discretion and the way he just kept everything confidential. And he was just no flash, but he was just completely knowledgeable. He had such a powerful influence over me. I still don't even think he realizes it, but I still to this day will model my business a little bit after him because of how consistent, professional he is, and how he's just tapped into the luxury market so clearly, and it's so defined, and people just know what he is. And so I've always tried to be a little bit like him, although there's no way in hell because he is just a whole nother level. But I do my own business, my Wendy Park style. And so, but I do remember modeling a lot of things after him.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else who has a professional, either mentor, agent, someone in your life that really helped ground you in those early years?
I think that first broker that you know hang your license with or you know in the office with is so important, right? I think so many agents can kind of just get lost in the mix if it and just kind of you kind of just left out on your own and trying to figure it out and just trying to find that mentor or someone who can take you under your wing. I was lucky enough with a little brokerage. In fact, they're with Compass now, but at the time, Mark Struve and Struve Residential were just their own little brokerage there, and just so lucky to kind of be part of that and learn and watch and really kind of educate myself on how he spoke to clients and his knowledge of the market and all the stuff like that. And it was just I can't imagine me being in a position now without that type of kind of mentorship at the start. I think that's so important for young agents.
For
I
me,
think
go ahead, Monica.
so. I started with the Brian Buffini training, and then there was also Howard Brenton, I think was his name. Now, of course, there's Tom Ferry and all kinds of things, but Buffini to me, just because it's the way that I like to lead generate is by referral. And I did some coaching with them at the beginning, but I really think it was the best framework of how to build up your database, how to stay connected with your clients before, during, and after a transaction. So I still highly recommend Brian Buffini.
Love it.
Well, and then I mean, once you have become established, one of the biggest assets for me has been some of my networking groups where we can all lean on each other. And within our office here in Austin, I feel like everyone's super supportive. But I've kind of met over the years this group of women, and they've kind of become my mentor in a sense that they're also like-minded. They're my peers. It's a national group of women, and we all can ask each other questions, and people are willing to answer without ego and to share. And you can't be afraid to ask. I mean, if you don't know, if you say, "Well, how do I do this? How I need an NDA. Does anyone have one to share?" I feel like that has helped me grow my business and succeed and have someone to lean on and ask the hard questions because that's what I love about this business. I learn something new every day. And 35 years later, I still don't even say that I can begin to know half of everything. Everything's always changing and it keeps me on my toes, but you really do need a core group and a mentor. I started business coaching for the first time this last year. And so Monica, I love that you've been doing this from day one, but really finding that type of help and support is is needed for sure for me.
Well,
Yeah,
professional
and
athletes all have a coach. So what,
yeah,
it just takes
absolutely.
one deal to pay for it or one idea. So
That's right.
Yeah. Now, Nicole, is that group that you're talking about, is that within Austin or is that something that's nationwide? Are they in different markets?
It's a national group that's nationwide, and it's really interesting. I didn't know many of these people, and we've over like the last 5 years have become actual friends. It's not just work friends, but true friends, and people that I travel with and have really gotten to know well. But no, it's a national group. And then there's groups like this, like the Luxury League, where we all can come together and network and lean on each other locally. So I say
Love it.
find your group.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. We have a lot of questions that are coming in. We've got some that are popping up in the chat. We've got some in the Q&A section. I may try to get to one or two of those questions before we wrap up, but we are also going to put these four agents and their contact information here in the chat. So if you guys have a question and we don't get to answering it live during this recording, feel free to send them a message. Those email addresses are popping in right now. Feel free to save their contact information. One of the things that I appreciate and love so much about the 4 agents on this panel today is that not only are they really great at their jobs, but they're also very generous with their time and very helpful. So we've got all of their information there in the chat for you in case we can't get to your question. But we do have one audience question I'd like to answer here. It is, how often are personal attorneys for luxury clients involved in a transaction? And do you feel like it makes it smoother or more challenging?
Ooh. In luxury, if you don't mind me starting, I feel like once you hit this luxury level, a lot of people will be bringing in attorneys, and you definitely need to find a way to work with them. I'd say the majority of the time they make it more challenging because their job is to look at the contract, look at the property and figure out what is the worst case scenario, of what could go wrong here. And they're protecting their client from the worst case scenario. They're usually fairly far-fetched and egos get involved. And so, being the mediator in that situation is also really important because you have to balance what this professional is telling your client versus what you know to be reality. And as we all know, we are not legal professionals. So it's always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We've got a couple other questions I'm going to try to answer here live. A few questions about expenses and reimbursements are coming in. So I'm going to actually combine 2 of these questions. One is, hey, do you as the agent pay for home staging or do your clients cover it? And I'm going to pair that with this question too. This other question is, I feel like marketing a property, especially a luxury property in 2025 is different than it was 10 years ago. I mean, my goodness, the way that these like videographers are coming in and doing these amazing things with listings, it's pretty wild. But there's photography, videography, print ads, digital marketing. It can get really expensive. So are you writing reimbursements into your listing agreement? Should they terminate the contract before your listing agreement ends? It's a good question.
It's a great question.
Uh, so I personally have a reimbursement in every single one of mine. I don't even break even with it. And I also word it just shall listing broker and seller agree, because that's not saying we're giving you, just a free for all just to terminate. Because maybe they want to refer it to another agent. I mean, usually it's not though because of the agent. And my experience, it's that they just decide they're not going to move. And so then who's left holding the bag? And that's not fair. And that's why I explain me putting it into the agreement, because it's not smart business to spend tens of thousands of dollars potentially, only to have somebody change their mind. They got to have some skin in the game.
What
Yeah,
is that
and
about, or how do you do that, Monica?
I just write in special provisions, shall listing broker and seller agree to an early termination of listing, X dollars to be paid directly to Monica Fabio, in lieu of marketing expenses.
And so you put, like, if you know it's a $5 million listing and you on average spend $10,000, you go ahead and put a $10,000 in there. You don't have to
I mean,
itemize.
like I said, I'm probably not even breaking even, but at least it's a little something. But yes, that's about right.
I like it.
Yeah.
all
I
right.
mean, I've certainly paid for staging, but it depends on the client and the situation and everything else like that.
Mhm.
I've
I
never paid for
oh, sorry.
staging. I explain that, I mean, it's kind of like cleaning your home. Your home needs to be clean and your yard needs to look good for me to sell it. If you don't have it decorated well, I can help you get it decorated well, but I'm not paying for that. So
Yeah,
I
I pay
get
for the
I
console.
reimburse at closing for staging sometimes if they are really adamant about not doing it. My incentive is I'll reimburse up to a portion at closing. So then there is at least get to closing and then that way I can
That's a good one.
reimburse them.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
it's been pretty effective for the most part.
Well,
But
and a
then I
lot of
still
times
have
it's not
a
about
few.
bringing furniture in. It's just getting like someone in there to pay someone $300 to consult with them, and then maybe you help them do some of it or not. I mean, I always bring in my little flowers and things, but but then you start accumulating stuff. I mean, my house looks like a home goods warehouse half, part of the time. I look like a hoarder one day, and then the next day I look like, what happened to everything? I feel like
Oh,
I'm moving a
I have
whole thing of furniture. I have to get movers and all on Friday. I'm moving from one project to the other, but I just happen to have accumulated all this stuff and I don't want it here. So I'm like, take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How often do your personal belongings from your house end up as staging items in one of your listings? How often does that happen?
100%.
It's happened a lot. I'm
Yeah.
in trouble right now with my husband because my garage is completely full of stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, guys, if you see that purple orchid behind Nicole in one of her listings, just you didn't
No,
see
I'm
it.
keeping
You didn't
that.
see it here.
But I do see a question. Do you approach luxury listings
Hmm.
the same as regular listings? And that prompted a thought that I've really struggled with is I worked so hard to create this listing presentation and it's beautiful and it talks about all my big sales, but my bread and butter is not, I mean, I'd love to sell $5 million houses all day long, but that's not reality. And I would be happy to sell $1 million houses all day long. And I've had people come to me and say, oh, your book is so fancy and you must only sell, $10 million houses. Our house probably isn't nice enough for you. And I think there's a fine line between being so elevated that people find you unapproachable. And so
Mhm.
I try to be very aware of that, but it's a very hard balance because you can't be everything to everyone. But I feel like I've lost some normal clients because they thought I was too elevated for them. And you don't want to lose that clientele.
Hey, that's a really great point. That's a great point. We're getting close on time here. So I've got one last question. I think this is going to be a really meaty question from all of you. I'm going to actually pitch this one over to Alex first, and then I'd love to hear from everyone else. But if you have one piece of advice to share with an agent who's been doing residential real estate 5 years or less, what would it be?
Yeah, you've got to commit. I was talking to a young agent the other day who's still kind of part-time, right? And wanting to, and then starts talking about luxury. And look, the conversation was, you can do this part-time, sure, and you're gonna get a few deals and help a friend out and whatever else, but no one's going to trust you if this isn't your profession and if this isn't your career, right? And no one's going to trust you with a sale like that. That's such a big piece of their net worth or emotional attachment or whatever. And so just to fully commit, and sometimes that can be hard, right? Just to go cold turkey like that and potentially earn no money for 6 months, 12 months, especially in the luxury end where it takes a little longer at times. But just to commit, stay consistent, know that it's the long game. All of my luxury deals have always come from not just someone who's just fallen into my lap, but someone I've worked with time and time again and have been referred, and we're kind of aging up together and they're doing better in their career and everything else like that. And so treating every client like it's the same, always consider what value are you bringing to the table? What is your value? Every time I speak to someone or sharing a house or whatever the case is, it's what is my value here? What am I offering and bringing to the table? They would be my main thing. There's more than one, I'm sorry, but they would be my main thing.
I would say just to well, we talked about consistency, and that's just so true. You're gonna get knocked down, you're gonna wipe yourself off, get up, you start to just have like with water off a duck's back. You can't we're the mediators. So I think you just have to stay calm in all situations and then stay curious. This is such a very fast moving world in marketing and high tech and so forth. So I think every transaction that we have, even when you've gotten into the luxury world, it's an opportunity to learn and level up. I mean, the first time you get a great listing, you just take that bull by its horns and you squeeze every bit that you can out of that because, and I say this all the time, but perception is reality. So if others know and trust you, as you're building up your reputation, your systems, your relationships, that's what you need to focus on, not the shiny objects. And then over time, people do trust you, and they see that one great listing that you did. They know you can do it now, and it's becoming not just perception but reality. So it takes time, but it's worth it. So consistency, and we've dug that in, and just staying curious.
Love it.
I think my advice is just to be ready and be available and pick up your phone. I've just, in my career, I've learned that, opportunity comes once, it doesn't always come twice. And so if you get a phone call at 8:45 that night and you just don't feel like answering it, answer it, because it could be that one luxury call that you needed, and then it can completely traject you into a whole new path. So I would just always be ready and be available.
I think that's perfect, Wendy. This is not a 9 to 5 job, and um, I, I think it's interesting how many people want to set these boundaries and these timeframes, and that's not how this job works. And I agree with Alex. I mean, you need to be all in or all out. This is not a part-time job, and you've got to have very thick skin. This is emotional. People maybe don't act like themselves when they're under pressure, and you can't let it hurt your feelings. So nothing hurts my feelings anymore. And life is too short to work with terrible people. So I think there are boundaries to set. But if you're trying to say I'm not going to answer my phone at dinner time, then maybe this isn't the 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 business for you, because if you're working on a $1 million deal, $100,000 deal, there are timelines, and you've got to always be there.
It's 2.5 full-time jobs, I've figured out.
I agree.
And such
But
a
I
big
love
part of
it.
it is the communication, isn't it? Like that just
I think,
goes such a long way.
I think we need to be paid double.
Yeah.
But just
Oh,
the
man.
basic communication and responding in a timely manner and just doing those simple things well. I feel like sometimes that's just so underrated. You know, we amount of times my feedback from reviews or whatever is just like his communication was great, responded on time, like all that kind of stuff. And I just think that those are the easy bits to do if you just your work ethics there.
Absolutely.
And you have to know your value. One more little thing I want to say, because I know that it's felt like desperate times. It's very up and down. This has not been my best year. I have faith it's going to pull through, but I think that we really, especially now with the commissions, and I know we're not supposed to talk about much, except I just want to say, everybody hold your ground as much as you can and show your worth, because we do such an important job. You aren't going to go to your attorney or your doctor and want like can I have 1/3 off my bill, or whatever the case may be. And I think we have to understand that we have to really value ourselves and value our profession as much as possible. I think it's a good thing that a lot of realtors have left, because it's not a part-time play job. To me, that's impossible at this level, most definitely.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, hey, that is all fantastic advice. Thank y'all very much for taking the time to share it. Thank you to our panelists, Monica, Nicole, Wendy, and Alex, for just being so open, honest, and insightful today. We hope that it sparked some good ideas, maybe gave you some clarity, most importantly, gave you permission to dream bigger. And until next time, keep growing, keep showing up for yourself, and keep aiming high. Thanks, everyone.